issues and encouraging bike riding and stuff, I'm not against it. We're not
No,
against
no, not
bike
at all.
riding.
I love the bike riding.
All we've been asking the city to do for 5 years now is share the road. We have an institution that's been historically one of the largest single-day drawing event in downtown Cleveland. We've had over 600,000 people come down to this parade in years. We fill hotels, we fill restaurants, and we are the largest riding event a day for RTA every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really not been much consideration for us to continue what we do.
Excuse me, but Johnny, why would the city or the politicians decide to do this? Number one, the whole idea of improving our city is to get more people to come downtown and to take their cars, drive downtown or whatever. But when you start restricting traffic like that, doesn't it discourage people from actually coming downtown? Even if you have a bike route, people will be riding their bikes through it from east side to west side and vice versa. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to improve the quality of our city.
No, I think that, when you have the restrictions that they're putting on, because number one, Superior is the biggest, widest street downtown Cleveland.
It is.
Because they had the streetcars going down there years ago. But now they're, they say the width of the road promotes speeding. But then there was a lot of accidents. So I think Pat had asked some information on, where is the accidents actually occurring. And they're outside of downtown Cleveland. Now, to answer your question about downtown Cleveland and bringing people downtown, you're going to have where you can clearly cross the streets and see everything going down. You're going to have this bike path down the middle of the street with trees. So, in the wintertime, we know that the leaves will be on, but in the summertime, it's going to be just something down the middle of the road. I just don't see why it's on the middle of the road. I was in Chicago last week, and they have them on the side, and it's not like the one they're putting in Cleveland, but they have a clearly marked, and they have concrete like the bollards from the parking lots blocking that traffic, so it's safe for the bikes. They're trying to say that this is going to slow down traffic. It's going to be safer for the bikes, but I still find it hard to believe that if you're putting a bike lane in the middle of the street, those bike riders are going to have to cross the traffic to get to the bike lane. And then when they come to the next intersection, they're going to have to cross the intersection and possibly cross traffic again just to get out. Whereas if they're on the sides of the streets, it's so much easier. And that's the way a lot of the bike lanes have been around town.
Seems to me, though, the most practical way is a white line with a bicycle marking on the blacktop. It says bicycle lane, which we have all over the city, and they seem to work very well.
We've explored different options or suggested different options, like moving that. And like I said, we don't argue that it's not an appropriate bike lane. It'd be a beautiful thing for the city. That's fine. And it's a wide road. We can fit a lot of things on that roadway, including the parade and including the bike lane as they want it. The only thing we do is work together so we can both live together on this.
But Pat, there's no way you can take 6 horses, we say like the police department horses, right. 6 horses across. They take up more than 24 feet.
Right.
A lot more.
They suggested, well, maybe you can spread things out a little bit, but we already have a 2-hour parade, right? And we are on St. Patrick's Day, which means we're sometimes in the middle of the week. If we spread everybody out, think of all those firemen, think of all the West Side IAA pom-poms and majorettes. You spread all those units out, and our parade's going to last till 4:30 in the afternoon. I've been to the New York parade. That lasts all day long.
8 hours.
Okay, that's a big, long parade. We can't do that in the city of Cleveland. And we don't need to do that in the city of Cleveland. We just need to work
tell me,
together.
how far along is the city with this planning, and how determined are they to go ahead and do this?
They're pretty determined. Like I said, we've been talking to them since 2019. We've been really close one-on-one meetings with them for the last year and a half, 2 years. And it was in October of this year, late October, they said, we're going to go with 24 feet. So we had suggested widening it. In other words, so I asked them, I said, look, give up 3 feet of each of those 8-foot landscaped buffers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really need all that, right? Give it 3 feet each, give us 6 extra feet, we'll have 30-foot lane. We can put a parade on there safely. I'm not just concerned about getting our units down there. I'm concerned about the safety of our children that are in the units, our viewers that are right next to all those animals and motorized units. So we have to be very careful about how we run the parade, and I'm worried that we're not going to be able to do so in 24 feet.
And then to answer your other, to further answer your question, so they've committed to the 25 parade, the 2026 parade. The construction would start around April or right after the 2026 parade. So they're far along down the process that they have the money from the state of Ohio earmarked for it, and so they're in their planning stages still. So it's not a done deal yet on the planning stages, but they're very far along. And like I said, we've only been promised 2 more years of the parade.
How much? What's the cost of all this renovation of the street?
Yeah, I think it's mostly federally funded. The city has a large portion of it, but it's around $25 million to do this project. And you know, we've asked them, can you move it to the side? Can you shrink that buffer? Can you do one side of it level with the road with bollards? And none of those have been acceptable to the
I
city.
noticed they're doing this in a lot of streets. Though I noticed out on Lakeshore Boulevard they're putting these like they look like planters. They're doing the same in the middle of the street, making the street less accessible to less cars can travel.
You know, the other side of this coin is they're also planning this midway project on Lorraine Avenue on the west side. And I know that many businesses are up in arms because it's going to take away their on-street parking. It's the only parking they have for their business. And I don't know how, that's not as far along as this midway project, but it's something that, you know,
But Pat, I don't think you can let beautification take the place of practicalities, because the way our streets are now. You know, you need 2-3 lanes each way. I can imagine if downtown Cleveland was today like it was when you guys were young, the traffic wouldn't move for hours.
right.
And it won't move for hours. I don't know. This beautification thing, I think, has gone maybe a step too far. What can people do to object to this, or to try and change it or make it work?
Well, 2 things. Number 1, talk to your local representatives. If you're in the city of Cleveland, talk to your councilman, talk to the mayor, contact their offices.
How does the mayor feel about it?
Well, the mayor's in
Mayor Vick.
favor of this, and you know, the person in council that's in favor, that kind of is the spearheading this at this point in time, is Councilman McCormick, who has part of downtown Cleveland, and they're very adamant that this is going to move forward.
Is he a young fella?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Is that Tim McCormick's
Tim's son.
I know Tim well.
yeah. Tim's
So-
Tim's the Court of Appeals judge. Nice man.
Yeah.
The one thing that the mayor did suggest, he said, did you do a mock parade? So about a month ago, we had a 24-foot section down by Muni Lot that the city kind of blocked off for us on a Sunday morning, and so everyone got a clear idea what 24 feet was, and it's not a lot. I mean, the
nothing.
flower pots that are between on Superior around the West 9th to West 6th Street, that's still wider than 24 feet. So, and that's a narrow spot.
Right. So the other thing we're going to do is.
Do they realize, though? Do they want you to change the route of the parade? Is that what they want
I think
you to
that's
do?
where, you know, they've told us we're going to do everything we can to keep you on Superior, and they've made some slight changes that would help a little bit, but still limits us to that 24 foot. The mayor has told us we're going to keep you on Superior. The person in charge of the project says we want to keep you on Superior, but we got that letter a month or 2 ago that said 24 feet is it. So I think that, you know, I've been trying to do this diplomatically for 5 years now, and it hasn't really worked. And all the suggestions we've said, we've just kind of been, in my view, kind of talked over.
So let's say the worst happens and they force you into moving the parade. How is that going to affect our 180-year-old parade?
Well, I think the only potential viable route would be to move down to St. Clair Avenue. It's not as commercially viable. There's not as many restaurants and bars and hotels as we would have on Superior Avenue or we did have on Euclid Avenue. The biggest factor is that it takes away Public Square and takes away the hub from RTA Transit. My biggest fear is that all of a sudden we're going to lose people who come down to the parade, we're going to lose units who want to be in the parade, and we're going to lose our foothold in the center of downtown Cleveland, the Public Square.
Yeah, like Pat said, I mean, there are so many bars, restaurants, hotels that are even on the parade route that actually can get hotel rooms. I know the Hyatt, to get a hotel room at the Hyatt overlooking the parade route is impossible because they're booked years in advance. and you're going to lose that when you go down to St. Clair because there is not that. So even those hotels, the bars, the restaurants, they're going to lose some of their revenue. And I mean, some of these bars, I mean, going through, let's face it, Cleveland going through the winter is not the best time to be out, strolling the streets. And this spring comes, St. Patrick's Day comes, kind of revitalizes downtown a little bit and brings the spring out. So.
Yeah, Jerry, you did your program at the Hyatt. You saw how,
That's right.
packed
Oh.
that gets. It's sold out.
10
It's
o'clock in the morning.
It's a 2-night minimum, sold out every St. Patrick's Day. And it's probably one of the biggest parties in town.
And booked years in
And booked
advance.
years in advance. And that'll be gone. That whole event for the city of Cleveland and that hotel will be gone.
So what kind of reaction are you getting back from these businesses? People like the Hyatt. What are they
Well,
saying?
I've met with the manager of the Hyatt. He's also concerned about how it's going to affect his valet because he's got very little access once they put in a division in the roadway. There's not a whole lot of other businesses that it's really going to affect. It's going to affect the fire station on 17th Street, and they are going to level the street around the fire station to make it a little bit easier and put in a traffic light there. But you're still going to have a divided street, so those firemen are going to have a hard time if they need to get to one side of the road or the other. That brings up another issue with regard to our parade is, we have to have access for EMS on the parade route. We've had ambulances on the parade route for medical emergencies before. With plenty of room, we can do that. With 24 feet, there's no guarantee.
It seems to me, Pat, they are forcing you, John, they're forcing you to move the parade. That's what it seems to be.
Yeah, we thought they were going to be working with us, and I really hope we still can. I'm still pushing it, but we are running up against their deadline for their engineering drawings. Are going to be complete really soon.
But they can re-engineer those drawings.
They can. I just,
Can revise them, make it smaller. Why does the bike path have to be that wide? Why it has to
There's, in my opinion, I think there's a group at the city that just wants this to be something. It was started years ago, and it's just they've got it in their mind that this.
and
is
they got the
theirs.
money from someplace. They got the money
from
for
the
federal money,
government,
probably,
yeah,
and
yeah.
state money, and they said, "Darn it, we're going to spend this money."
They have to spend it, or they run into not only lose it, but they run into other problems with other projects. So they've got to spend the money, and so now they're going to be up against it because they either spend it or they're going to be in trouble with the federal government.
Yeah, it's an awful thing. It'd be great if we could encourage politicians to save the money and give it back to the government, and the government would say, "Thank you for doing that."
Well,
They don't.
like I said, we're just trying to share the road. It's all we want to be able to do with them. So you asked me what we can do.
Yeah, what can we do?
Contact your representatives, talk to them, contact the mayor's office, talk to them.
Well,
We'll be putting out on social media some type of survey or contact information. So you'll see all over the parade, Facebook and all that kind of stuff, to be able to contact us and so we can let the city know how many people this affects. Let's get those 600,000 people who come down to the parade route.
just got